Okay. Very good afternoon to our viewers from across the world. This is News MTV. My name is Richard Chidza. Welcome to our program where we bring in influential personalities who influence our social, political, and economic environment. The Movement for Democratic Change, led by Nelson Chamisa, is one such institution that continues to influence our political space, our economic space, and socio-cultural environment. And this year they go to their elected Congress for the first time in 20 years without founding leader Morgan Tsvangirai, who unfortunately passed away on 14th February last year. Today, to talk about the procedure, the processes, and what needs to be done, the template that is being set up that should be followed by the party structure, we have invited the Secretary General of the party, former Nyanga North legislator, and Manicaland Senator is named Douglas Mwonzora. Mwonzora, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you very much, Richard, and I wish Zimbabweans a nice weekend. We are now getting into the weekend.
So, without much ado, Mr. Mwonzora, Senator Mwonzora, if you can give us a brief of what processes, I suppose they've already started, right, at the lower structures of the party. What do we expect now? What is happening?
Thank you very much. We announced the dates for our main Congress, which is 24, 25, and 26 May. That is the main Congress where we are going to be electing the National Standing Committee members. But this is preceded by congresses at branch, ward, district, and provincial levels.
And these have already started?
What has started now are the provinces at branch level. And in some areas, we are now moving towards the wards, where members of the party elect their branch executives. They also, after branch executives, will elect their ward executives. From the wards, we then elect the district executive committees. From the wards, we elect the provincial executive committees. From the provincial, then we go to the main Congress. We have developed a template which was authorized by the party.
Just to cut in there, to our viewers, you can follow us on Facebook. We are live now. You can also follow us on Twitter. There are updates on our Twitter handle, newzimbabwe.com, or go to our site, www.newzimbabwe.com, where you can find stories of the day. It's a full newspaper that you can follow stories about Zimbabwe, about any other and other parts of the world. Mr. Mwonzora, you can go ahead.
Yes. I was talking about a template that was developed by the organizing committee and the elections department of the party. This template sets out the procedure to be followed in elections. It also sets out the electoral college and the qualifications of membership. These qualifications to hold office are contained in the constitution as well. So we have sent these templates together with the code of conduct to all the levels where the congresses are taking place. For example, the template says for you to qualify for election in the branch, ward, and district, you must have served in the party for a minimum period of 2 years. After that, the province, as well as the national election, it must be 5 years. This is 5 years of continuous service in the party.
And what does this mean now? Sorry to jump in there. What does this mean now for people like your former Secretary General, Tendai Biti, former Secretary General, Welshman Nube, and they're coming in with their own party into what was then known last year as the MDC Alliance, a pre-election pact that was signed by your party and the smaller parties. What does this mean to these people now?
Well, I'm not very sure regarding exactly what their preferred positions in Congress are. As you know, we don't know yet who is standing for what and so on. But for them to be eligible, there has to be a special dispensation for them because the constitution of the party, together with the constitution of the party was written before the MDC Alliance. It was written before they came back into the party. So the template seeks to make them eligible.
Do we still have the MDC Alliance? Or we have the MDC? Which is we?
We have the MDC. The MDC Alliance was an election construct. It was a group of political parties. After the election, there was a process of integration where people, former allies, dissolved their political parties and joined the MDC. They were then integrated.
The big 10 is it?
Yes. So what that means is that we now have one political party.
We now have one political party. And at Parliament, who do you represent as Senator?
We represent the MDC.
It's not the MDC Alliance.
The MDC Alliance is simply an alliance. It's not a political party.
So if you are going to be mischievous and they decide to, the party, which party would recall you?
Well, I'm not going to be mischievous, and no one is going to recall me because I'm a very well-behaved senator. But the MDC...
Say something that somebody does is mischievous.
Yeah.
Okay, you may not be mischievous, but somebody...
Well, the MDC will recall.
So
because it is the party.
It is the party.
Yes.
So Parliament recognizes the MDC or the MDC Alliance?
Well, I'm not so sure what the Parliament does, but we are viewed as the MDC.
Okay, let's go back to the issue of who qualifies for what position. We were talking about, say, Vice President Worshman Mule. Say you want to contest for the Vice President. That's what you say. That's where you said there would need to be a special dispensation.
Yes, I think a special dispensation was created by the template.
Was it?
I think so.
Okay.
But as I told you earlier, the Constitution was drafted before the MDC Alliance. It was drafted before the reunification of these comrades back into the party. And
so it's not like every party is joining into some new construct, but these guys are coming into the MDC.
Exactly. This is the MDC family coming back together. For want of a better word, prodigal sons and daughters are coming back and so on, in a very happy way, I should say. This is very welcome. It was the vision of President Morgan Tsvangirai that people must come together. The vision of the MDC is to bring together all progressive forces for the struggle to have a more democratic and prosperous Zimbabwe. So we welcome these people. The Constitution and the template seeks to then deal with this anomaly that has arisen, where the people would otherwise not be eligible, because if they came last year, then they are below the 2 years. Okay. They are below the 5 years if they want national positions. So in order to deal with that problem, we have then put in a template that seeks to give these people a special dispensation. We will have to seek at Congress a special condonation. Our statutes do allow us to seek a special condonation from Congress, and that is what we are going to do.
What if Congress rejects it?
Well, that is one of the risks that is always there. But
you are going to whip people into line?
No, certainly not. Okay. Certainly not. What we do is that we can do something that is reasonable and which we can justify before Congress.
But you agree with me that the structures that will sit at Congress to try and give you the condonation that you require are not the same structures that allowed these people to come back into the party?
Well, but it is the same party, Richard. It is the same party. In fact, when we say Manicaland Province or Manicaland Provincial Executive, we don't refer to David Chimini and his executive. It is the Manicaland Executive that existed at that point in time. The personnel constituting it, notwithstanding. So the structures that allowed them in are party structures. And it was the National Executive decision, it was the National Council decision. They came back in, they were fully integrated. Now, if a person is fully integrated, they assume the full rights. But we do have this situation where there are time limits. And we need to look at, is it fair for them to be disqualified, or is it unfair? Is it within the spirit of the integration? And it was thought that it was within the spirit of integration that they be allowed to contest. And in order to deal with the constitutional provision, we have to seek a special dispensation at Congress. And as long as it is reasonable, and as long as it was not malicious, it should be allowed.
Just to remind again our viewers, we are on Newsroom TV, and you can follow us live on Facebook. We are live on Facebook now. We are here sitting here with MDC Secretary General Douglas Mwonzora. He is Senator for Manika, and he is explaining to us the processes that the MDC is following towards its elective Congress set for 24 to the 26th of May this year. We are also on Twitter. You can follow the updates on Twitter, or go to our YouTube channel, Newsroom TV, or you can go to our website, www.newzimbabwe.com. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the issue of provinces. The nomination process is coming. We have heard that Chitungwiza province has been dissolved. It has been collapsed into Harare province. There was Midlands North and Midlands South. These have been collapsed. What happens to what is this constitutional? What is happening now? What happens to the external provinces?
Before the 2014 Congress, MDC, in fact, before the 2011 Congress, MDC had 15 provinces, and these are Manicaland, Mashonaland East, Mashonaland West, Mashonaland Central, Midlands North, Midlands South, Harare, Chitungwiza, Matebeleland North, Matebeleland South, Bulawayo, and then the South Africa is a province, the UK is a province, and the United States. But come 2014, there was a constitutional amendment that the internal provinces must follow the administrative provinces. As you can see, we had disaggregated Harare and Chitungwiza for administrative and organizational purposes. It's easier to organize Chitungwiza as a separate province, and our Chitungwiza province includes Northern, which is to someone it may look awkward that you have Chitungwiza province, which is the other side of Manyame River, and then you have Harare, and then you have this other river, then you go to Norton, and Norton is part of Chitungwiza. Oh, okay. But we did that for purely organizational purposes. The problem that we then faced was when it came to issues of proportional representation. You want to have senators from Chitungwiza. And in the national borders, in the national administrative provinces, there is no province called Chitungwiza. Okay. So in order to deal with that and the injustices that was befalling our members in those provinces, we then combined the provinces. So Harare and Chitungwiza are now one province. And in the Midlands, we don't have Midlands North and Midlands South. We now are going to have one Midlands province for purely administrative purposes. The external provinces remain. So what that means is that the MDC has 13 provinces, 3 external and 10 internal provinces.
Okay. So when are the nominations coming, particularly for our viewers would be more interested, not necessarily about district chairpersons or secretaries or the provincial chairpersons. Of course, they are important, but it's more interesting at the top. People are more worried about who would lead the party at the end of it. So when are the nominations coming in?
Well, we are going to have a special National Council meeting next week, which must come before the major nominations, because we need to make a decision as regards how many posts are going to be contested, and therefore how many positions should people be nominated to. So we are going to have that National Council meeting next week. We are going to set a date today with the president. But we expect the main nominations, if by the main nominations you are referring to the national nominations, yes, we expect them to start probably it should be between the 10th of April to the 27th of April. I'm saying that because the process is starting on the 5th of April, but given the inevitable delays, my estimation is that it is between the 10th of April to the 27th, almost 2 weeks.
Just to recognize some of our viewers who are following us on Facebook: Timothy Gumbi, Peshi Madue, Edi Makari, we have Solomon Munye, Nyeruti, and Abim Mandishona. There are more who are following us. There is a question from somebody who has decided to call themselves Majo Maz. They are asking, why is Mwonzora not in court with Komichi?
This is before 3 o'clock. The court where Vice President Komichi is going to hear his judgment is at 3 o'clock. 5 minutes before I walked into the studio, I talked to Vice President Komichi to confirm with him the time. And I'm very satisfied that the time is 3 o'clock. I will be there in court in solidarity with him.
So you have not dumped the Vice President?
Of course not. Of course not. One of the things that we are known for as the MDC, one of our values is solidarity. When one of us is being persecuted, we all must be there. We must be there with our brothers in the struggle. We are in the same party, we are fighting the same cause, and we should feel for each other. So definitely I'll be there to be with Vice President Komichi. What the viewer may also want to know is that in one of the court hearings, I actually was there and did in my respectful view was helpful to the cause of Vice President Komichi.
Edimagari says, he says, don't stop, keep walking.
Thank you very much, Eddie. I will keep on giving solidarity to my comrades. I'll keep on being faithful to the cause. I'll keep on with the dream of bringing a truly democratic, tolerant, and non-toxic Zimbabwe.
Are you a Zanu PF project? I would never have done justice to this interview or to this discussion if I don't ask you that. And maybe just to put some background to it, Senator or former Senator David Coulthard is raised this discussed, and people actually indicating that you are a Zanu PF project, you are intending to challenge for the presidency as part of a wider scheme by the ruling party to weaken the MDC.
Well,
have you been given 6 million?
Well, first of all, where does Zanu PF, the current Zanu PF, get 6 million, Richard? 6 million bond is equal to 2.5 million US dollars. How does a party like Zanu PF give one person, Mr. Mwonzora, 2.5 million to contest President Chamisa? And who knows what the contest will bring? I probably will lose. So just putting that money to waste. So the answer is, it is a blatant lie. And it's not only me who is saying it. I'm very grateful to former Senator Coulthard for setting the record straight. This is a man of integrity, Senator Coulthard. He knows me better than most of the leaders that we have. Because with Senator Coulthard, as far back as the early 90s, after the Zimbabwe Unity Movement, we formed the Forum Party together with David Coulthard. What viewers may want to know was that on the day of the formation of the Forum Party, we were about 6, and there was Christopher Giwa the late, Alois Masepe, Isaac Manyemba, David Coulthard, Douglas Mwonzora, that's myself, and Morgan Tsvangirai.
Forum part of Zimbabwe?
Yes, Morgan Tsvangirai was part of the formation of the Forum part of Zimbabwe. He was a member of the Forum for Democratic Reform Trust, which then united with the Open Forum in Bulawayo to come together as the Forum Party.
The same party that was led by former Chief Justice Enoch Dumbuchena, right?
Yes, it was led by Chief Justice Dumbuchena because Morgan Tsvangirai refused to lead it because of his responsibilities with the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions. It was also partly because of my legal advice, because I was the legal advisor of the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions at that time.
So you worked with Tsvangirai at the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions?
My first employer, the first person to sign my letter of employment straight from university, was Morgan Tsvangirai.
So were you part of the formation of the MDC at the beginning?
Of course I was, because it must be remembered that the MDC was formed out of three movements: the constitutional movement, the labor movement, the student movement. And let me just say, relate these movements to personalities. President Nelson Chamisa was a member of the student movement. President Tsvangirai was a member of the labor movement. I, being a member of the National Constitutional Assembly, which had been formed earlier, was a member of the Constitution movement. Now, people confuse being part of the original MDC at formation and being an official of the MDC. I was not immediately an official of the MDC because I was one of the group of lawyers that were operating in various parts of the country defending MDC activists. So the idea that you are a Johnny come lately to the party is false? It's very, very false, actually. Actually, if you look at it, in 2005, which is the year that Mr. Pesai Ruhanya says I joined the MDC, I was actually the MDC candidate for Nyanga North constituent, for Nyanga constituents, the combined Nyanga constituents. And always people try to say things that they do not know. I was a member of the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions, an official. I was a member of the National Constitutional Assembly. We formed it together with Morgan Tsvangirai. And the National Constitutional Assembly, the Constitutional Movement, the Labor Movement, and the Student Movement then formed the MDC.
Senator Mwonzora, can you explain to us why is it that every time, maybe this question has been raised by Senator Kortat also, why is it that every time somebody stands up and wants to challenge for some position in the MDC, they are labeled a Zanu PF agent? But in Zanu PF, also in Zanu PF, if somebody wakes up and wants to challenge for some position, they are labeled an MDC agent or some regime change agent. Why is our politics that toxic?
Look, Richard, we shouldn't take this seriously.
And is the MDC different from Zanu PF in that regard?
Well, it is different. But Richard, one doesn't suddenly become Zanu PF because there is an MDC Congress. And if at all these allegations were true, why am I still the Secretary General? Why am I arranging Congress? Why am I having meetings with President Chamisa? Yesterday, we had a 2-hour meeting together, planning about the National Council.
But you put in Mutare and yet to rescue you.
Well, we'll deal with that. We will deal with that as a separate item. But I just want to explain that if at all there was truth in this, I would have been disciplined. I would have been suspended. But what I did is that when we met at the National Standing Committee, I confronted my accusers. And I said, in front of the president, can you please, can you verify your allegations?
We want to acknowledge some of our viewers. We have Mainiko, Mdara, Wekwa B, WM Wilford, Sheone Sumpofu, Robert Ndlovu, and Moses Mucherera. They are following us on Facebook Live. This is Newzim TV. We're having a chat here with MDC Secretary General and Manicaland Senator, Honorable Douglas Mwonzora.
Well,
Honorable Mwonzora,
yes, given my history, I can safely say that I am the longest serving member in the opposition of the current crop of leaders. I started my opposition politics in 1988, and very few people were active at that point in time. And I was part of the fight against the one-party state. I was yes. I was actually the chairman of the youth then. And
in fact, it has been used as an aberration against you that you've been into every other party that has been formed in Zimbabwe.
I have been a very consistent opponent of this regime. In 1988...
And how many times have you been arrested by the way?
34.
Is that not a record?
I am not so sure. Maybe others were arrested more times. I have to check with Temba Mliswa and other people. But in 1988, the fight then was the fight against the one-party state.
Okay.
I am proud that I was part of that fight, together with others, to fight against the one-party state. And Zimbabwe right now is not a one-party state. Success number one. Success number two, in 1995, I took the government to court in the Supreme Court, trying to remove.
There's a personal message for you.
Sorry.
There's a personal message for you from one Simbarashi Jambwa. He says, your timing is very poor. There is no vacancy.
Where Simbarashi?
Obviously, he's referring to the presidency. If you indicated you want to contest, by the way?
No. I want to come to that, Richard, in a minute.
Okay.
Because I just want to explain.
You were saying you success number one, you stopped the one-party state.
In 1995.
Right.
And you must remember that at that point in time, I was a very young person. In 1995, I went to the Supreme Court to stop the 1995 elections.
You did?
Yes, I did. Together with a lawyer called Trustee Semai. We went into the Constitutional Court, that time it was called the Supreme Court, appeared before Justice Gabe to stop the election on the basis that the Electoral Act was unconstitutional, the Political Parties Finances Act was unconstitutional, and so on. We lost the case. We lost the case on the basis that we had brought it as an 11th hour application. The following year, I challenged the Political Parties Finances Act in the Supreme Court. And on the 30th of September 1997, we won against the government in the Constitutional Court. So I've always been fighting this government.
Mainiko asks you, will you recognize ED, which is President Emmerson Mnangagwa, as president if you win Dagi?
There is an assumption by the viewers that I am running for president of the MDC. That assumption is incorrect. It is incorrect because the presidents of the MDC does not come as a result of somebody wishing to be the president. It comes as a result of somebody being nominated by the provinces. And as I said earlier, the process of nominations of people into positions is going to start early April. And I don't know where the members of the MDC will want to place me. I do not know where others will be placed. But let me answer that question. The decision not to recognize the election of Mr. Mnangagwa as president is not a Nelson Chamisa decision. It is not a Tendai Biti decision. It is not an Elias Mwonzora decision. It is not a Douglas Mwonzora decision. It is a party decision. The party doesn't change because its leader has changed. So the policy position towards this Zanu PF, towards national issues will not change because, for example, there is a new president or there is a new secretary general. So we will remain consistent.
So why has the MDC refused to join talks with that, like negotiate or dialogue that has been called for by President Mnangagwa?
The MDC is the first political party to call for dialogue. Nelson Chamisa called for dialogue even as early as August last year. But the dialogue that we want is genuine, unconditional, and it must be dialogue which is predicated on key national issues, on the resolution of key national issues. But the problem with the dialogue that was called by President Mnangagwa was that it was supposed to take place in the State House. It was supposed to be presided over by him. So what we have said as the MDC, and President Chamisa wrote a letter outlining our conditions to say we need somebody neutral.
And those are conditions. You said it should be unconditional, and those are already conditions. You are already placing conditions there.
They are not conditions.
What are they?
They are procedural issues. They are what we call hygiene issues. We want President Mnangagwa and Zanu PF to understand this. that in this country they are at the center of the dispute.
Let's take one question from our viewers. Joshua Goto asks Honorable Mwonzora, if you were nominated, do you want to contest Chamisa, which is for the presidency?
Joshua, sorry. Yeah, thank you so much, Joshua. I think I know Joshua. Joshua, the question is put in rather confusing terms. It is in the present and it is in the future. Okay. It says, if you were to be nominated, do you want? Okay. So he is asking me to combine the future and the present. But let me explain. Let me say this. The decision of what I will be is never mine. It was not my decision to be spokesperson. It was the people of the MDC who nominated me to be there in 2011. It was not my decision to be Secretary General. It is the people of the MDC who put me there. Whatever position I'm going to have at this Congress is not my decision. It is the people of the MDC. The question, yes, the servant leadership. That is one of our values. The question is, if I am nominated, will I contest Nelson Chamisa? It depends on the nomination. It also depends on what the people in the MDC want. If the people in the MDC want us to contest and they think it is too close to call and they want to choose between us, that is their prerogative. So I will, unfortunately, Joshua, be able to answer your question on the day in question. I will cross the bridge when I come to it. It's never personal. It's never personal.
Are you not scared? Are you not scared? Is there not an inherent fear within the party that your decision will either split or unite the party?
Well, my decision to contest or not to contest will depend on what the members of the MDC want. I want to make this point clear to the members of the MDC. There is no need at this point in time to be presumptive. There is no need to threaten anybody. There is no need at all to be unpleasant to each other, because the decision of who will be where is entirely their decision. Most of my party members are failing to comprehend the immense power they have. There is no need for somebody to say, Mwonzora, don't do this, Mwonzora, do that. There is no need for that. It is for them to make that decision, and they give it to us. They give that decision to Nelson, they give that decision to Douglas, they give that decision to Tendai. This is a particular moment in time where our members have immense power.
Just going back to our viewers again, we have a comment from Talita Dube who says, Richard, you are not doing well. You are like Oscar Papuka.
Thank you, Talita. Thank you so much for saving.
No, but thank you very much, Talita, for that question, for that comment. We really value your comments. We are on Newzim TV. This is your program where we interact or talk to leaders in our country who influence our political, social, and economic space. We are sitting here with Secretary General of the Movement for Democratic Change. His name is Douglas Mwonzora. He's explaining to us the dynamics within the party as the MDC moves towards its Congress from the 24th to the 26th of May. So we were talking about dialogue. We were talking about the issue of dialogue, why the MDC has rejected, and you were indicating that you had indicated that you don't want dialogue that is chaired by President Mnangagwa. You don't want dialogue that is held at the State House, which in my view are conditions.
No.
And the President Mnangagwa has also put conditions, and he said he wants you guys to recognize him first. And I remember your party president, President Nelson Chamisa, indicating that they want legitimacy issues around President Mnangagwa's election in last year's election to be at the top of the agenda if these discussions are to be held. Which is which?
We are not putting conditions. We are putting what we call hygiene issues, procedural issues. Where should we have this dialogue? Who should chair it? Why is it necessary that this dialogue be chaired by a neutral person? Because the two protagonists involved in this have interests. President Mnangagwa, ourselves. Now, can you imagine if we were to insist that Nelson Chamisa chairs the dialogue?
Do you want the government of national unity?
President Mnangagwa will find it not so proper. So all we are saying is let's have a neutral person, and regarding the issues to be dialogued upon, we will deal with them at the conference table.
Who will choose the neutral person? And how neutral would be this person?
We have said let's agree on that person.
Where do you agree? Over a phone call, over a cup of coffee, at a food take outlet, or what?
Richard, let me explain this to you and to the viewers, hopefully, that we must go back to history. This is not the first time that political parties in Zimbabwe have dialogued. In 1979,
you have another supporter in Tate Mungure. He says, "Boramberi Dagi, you have been very consistent. That's why some are jittery at this juncture."
Well, Tate, thank you so much. But let me go back to the dialogue that has happened in Zimbabwe. There's no need of reinventing the wheel, Richard. In 1979, the political parties in this country, Rhodesia Front, UANC, Zanu, ZAPU.
Don't tell me you were part of it.
Well, I was a little mujiba then. But the political parties then went to Lancaster House for negotiations, for dialogue, which brought independence of Zimbabwe. That dialogue was not chaired by Smith. It was not chaired by Mzorewa. It was not chaired by Robert Mugabe. It was chaired by somebody neutral.
Of course, Robert Mugabe was not part of it because Zanu refused to be part of the internal settlement.
No. 1979 Lancaster House. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Now, fast forward to 2009, 2008. After the win by Morgan Tsvangirai and the one-sided civil war that happened in 2008.
That's the runoff.
Yes, the runoff. We political parties in this country then wanted to dialogue. Zanu PF, MDC led by Welshman Mube, sold by Mtambara then, and then MDC led by former Prime Minister Tsvangirai. It was not chaired by Robert Mugabe. It was not chaired by Mtambara. It was not chaired by Tsvangirai. It was chaired by Thabo Mbeki, a neutral person.
So
why are we reinventing the wheel? Why don't we follow the examples that have succeeded in history?
So your idea is for a GNU? Does the MDC want a GNU?
No. The idea of the MDC, the outcome that the MDC wants to see in the dialogue, is for us to resolve the political, social, and economic problems, the security of the person. For example, the MDC at the conference or at the dialogue table is going to insist on the security of the person. You are in your house there in Glenora, in Meborane, wherever, and you are with your family, you must be secure. We want to assure you that you are not going to see soldiers walking there, raping this child, beating this child, beating this woman, and that. We want to deal with that. So as long as those things, we want the economy to improve, we want, I've talked about the security situation, the economy, we are going to talk about justice in this country. As long as those things are brought up, we are happy at the MDC. We are not desiring dialogue for our comfort in order for us to drive nice cars as ministers. That is not our position. And this is where I think Nelson Chamisa has been misunderstood. People think that he wants to be in the government of national unity, wants to be prime minister. He is not interested in that. He is interested in the 5 substantive issues that we talked about. The economy, for example, and the security of the person, rule of law, national healing and reconciliation. You agree with me that the politics in this country is toxic.
Okay, Mudawan Gita asks, which position did Morgan Tsvangirai occupy in Forum Party, and did you ever take part in national elections outside MDC in 2005?
Sorry.
I suppose the question is, you said which position did Morgan Tsvangirai occupy in the Forum Party? That you said he was part of the formation of the Forum Party in 1995, thereabouts. And did you, probably at a personal level, take part in any national elections? I suppose he is saying here, before 2005, when you said you represented the MDC in Nyanga constituency, the combined Nyanga North and South, did you ever take part in any position in national elections before that?
Ah, okay, I see. First of all, Mudawano, let me answer the first question on what Morgan Tsvangirai occupied. Morgan Tsvangirai did not become an official of the Forum Party because of his involvement in the labor movement. He thought that because the ZCTU then had Zanu PF people in it, it had a central committee member by the name Edward Njekesa, who was in the general council of ZCTU. So he found it improper to be a member of, to be a card holding member or an official of a party. He then declined to head the Forum Party. I'm talking this from real knowledge, and I did take notes on it. I do have diaries on it, Mr. Mdawan. You may want to have it. And fortunately, I'm writing a book, and it is one of the, I think it is in chapter 5 of the book that I'm writing. You will also want to know that Morgan Tsvangirai was party to the formation of Zim Rights, which was chaired at one time by David Chimini.
Oh, okay, Zim Rights, back in the 90s again.
Yes.
So we were talking about issues around dialogue and what should happen. I had asked if you guys wanted a government of national unity, and you were saying Nelson Chamisa is being misunderstood because he doesn't want to be part of any gravy train or gravy train, as it were. You don't want to go back to the 2009-2013 scenario, right?
So when Nelson Chamisa talked about that, he was not talking about his personal opinion. This is a party position that we want to get into dialogue to resolve the national question. We want to deal with the issue of free and fair elections. We want to deal with the issue of the economy, the security of the person, the role of the military in our country. We want to deal with that. And if that is dealt with to the satisfaction of Zimbabweans, Nelson Chamisa, Douglas Mwonzora, and the entire MDC leadership will be happy.
We're still on News TV, and you are watching us live on Facebook. Patrick Mwe, hello, how are you? He says here, which constitution is in the hands of the MDC that you lead, say? Is it Coupe MDC or is it MDC Alliance? I just want to say, as you answer Patrick there, if you can wind up, what are the things that people can expect from Douglas Mwonzora going forward? You have answered questions around whether you are Zanu PF project, or whether you are going to contest. We would want probably to have you again, but you are following us on News TV. We are live on Facebook, newszimbabwe.com. You can also go to our website, www.newszimbabwe.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at newszimbabwe.com. Mr. Mwonzora, if you can just answer in a very short, in a few seconds.
There's one constitution. The constitution was signed by Morgan Tsvangirai, and if Mr. Nube wants a copy, and anybody else, we can give them the copy. The constitution is also on the MDC website for members of the public and party members who may want. At this juncture, Richard, I just want to say to Zimbabwe, this is not time for toxic politics. This is not time for hate. This is not time for politics of intolerance, violence, whether verbal or physical. This is the time for a new politics. A new politics that is predicated on rational disputation and tolerance. There is no need to call names. And for my brothers and sisters in the MDC, you can support a candidate of your choice. You can have a spokesperson of your choice, a president of your choice, a secretary general of your choice. It is entirely in your hands. As we go through this period up to the 24th of May, we must remember that we are brothers. We must remember that we have one vision of having a prosperous and democratic Zimbabwe. We must remember that we draw our vision from the legacy of those who are departed: Morgan Tsvangirai, Isaac Matongo, Gibson Sibanda, and so on. This is our jewel together. We must make sure that there is democracy in Zimbabwe, and together we will win. We will win against Zanu PF.
Victor, there's another question. Like I said, you are following us on Twitter, on Facebook, newzimbabwe.com. You can go to our website, www.newzimbabwe.com. You can also follow me on Chidza1, that's on Twitter, and Chidza is my Facebook page. There is another question from Solomon Manyeruke. He says, Mr. Mwonzora, do you believe that Chamisa won last year? If so, why do you think it's right to change now?
Well, first, Solomon, you make an assumption that I have said, let's change. That's an assumption. I don't know where you are drawing it from. The decision of whether we change a leader or not is not mine. It is for the people of the MDC, the members of the MDC. They don't do it on WhatsApp. They don't do it on Twitter. They don't do it on Facebook. They do it at Congress. At the provincial congresses and the main congress. You make your decision on who or on what leadership you want. So that decision is not mine.
On that note, our viewers, we would want to thank you very much for joining us this afternoon in this discussion that we had with MDC Secretary General Douglas Mwonzora. We have touched on a number of issues, a wide range of issues, and let's continue to chat. Go to our Facebook, newzimbabwe.com. You go to our Twitter at newzimbabwe.com. Go to my personal Twitter account at Chidza1, or Chidza is my Facebook page. So you can continue to follow us. Let's continue to chat. Let's continue to discuss these issues. We will have Mwonzora again, Senator Mwonzora again, as we move towards the Congress, or other leaders within the MDC, including probably the organizing secretary. So we understand the issue of structure. What is happening? The MDC is an important institution in our body politic, and Zimbabweans would want to know where it is going. This is your program. We will continue to give you other programs, and go to our website for more stories on Zimbabwe and other parts of the world, www.newzimbabwe.com. Senator Mwonzora, thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Richard. Thank you.